for now, we do want to go in a little bit more in depth on some more 5v5 potential concepts as we're going to go ahead and throw it over to Joe Fenney over at the Telestrator.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about 5v5 before we jump into our games this week. And this is going to be our last 5v5 segment because this is the last weekend of the Vainglory. I'm going to be sad to leave the Telestrator and you guys, but let's get on into it. Now, bizarrely, in this 5v5 segment, I actually want to start off by looking at a map of current Vainglory 3 versus 3. Now you can see here I've drawn a yellow square on the map, and what this represents is what you can see during the game when you're actually playing. And you can see it's a good portion of the map. You can see a fairly large area. It's about a 16th of the total map if you don't include the bases. Now, one of the important things that is going to change when we jump into 5v5 is how much of the map you can currently see at the time. You can see this square, even though it's the same size, is significantly less of the overall map. So vision is going to become increasingly important. There is so much of the map that you can't see at the time. So focusing on your minimap, making sure you know what else is going on in the game is going to be incredibly important. And it's going to be one of those things that really separates the good players from the really great players. Now, one way to abuse this fact and one way to become a better player because of this is controlling vision. And there's a classic word in MOBA esports that is rotations. This is a word that Monte Cristo coined years ago, and ever since it's been one of the key concepts of MOBA. Now, what a rotation is when two teams are set up on a map. One team typically has what's called tempo. They're the ones that are in charge of the pace of the game. They're the ones that are deciding where to go next. Let's say that we're the orange team and we're sieging mid. If I'm the blue team, if I don't have vision control of my sides of the jungle or the river, the orange team can go basically wherever they want. The second they dip out of vision, they could go down here to bottom, they could go up top, they could focus either one of these neutral objectives. And if I don't have vision of that, sorry, completely missed the objective with that circle. If I don't have vision of that, they can basically run anywhere on the map, and I need to be aware of that situation. This is called rotating, going to a different part of the map to try and abuse lack of vision of your opponent. And teams that can out-rotate their opponents can really take huge advantages in MOBA, and it often will lead to free turrets, free objectives across the course of the entire game. Now, there's a very important type of rotation that happens right at the very start of the game, in the first few minutes, and it's all about this mid lane matchup between our two mid laners. A lot of this is going to be about wave clear. Who can clear those minions away the fastest? Because the second you clear those minions, if your opponent in the mid lane has to keep on farming, you have what's called mid lane priority. And it's the opportunity to roam down to the bottom lane, up to the top lane, or go into the enemy jungle. Now, what this does is it forces the enemy jungler to react to wherever you go. So making sure that they have vision in the rivers, making sure that they have covered those 4 jungle entrances is going to be absolutely crucial in 5v5 to stop the enemy mid laner just roaming wherever they want and having those early game rotations along with their jungler that can set them up for an early victory. That's about all the time I've got to talk to you guys about 5v5 for today, but it's time to jump into the Vainglory 8. It's time to jump into our final weekend of the Vainglory 8 and decide who will go to Singapore. So as an introduction, let's pass it over to last week's Fight of the Week.